Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, several other NFC coaches are drafting a letter to Jerry Jones begging them to never fire Mike McCarthy. Please, Mike, stay. Stay forever. Cowboys just lost to the Packers 48-32. Eliminated. I couldn't believe some of what people were talking about over the course of this year. Maybe this is the year for Dallas. Now, if you've been watching or listening, you know how I felt. And I have felt this way since the first game Mike McCarthy coached for the Cowboys. They hired the wrong guy. Check the tape. You have to it's gonna take a while to go find the tape. Maybe I'll go find the tape. Maybe I will go find the tape, actually. Make a note. Find the tape. After their first game, I said, wrong guy. Wrong guy. Don't forget, it was Ed Werder who sat in that Cowboys press conference room and asked Mike McCarthy to explain to everybody what he'd learned after he watched every piece of film during his season away from coaching. And with Jerry Jones sitting next to him and Stephen Jones sitting next to him, Mike McCarthy said, I lied. I didn't actually watch every piece of film. Made it up. I just wanted the job, man. I just wanted the job. Well, he got the job. He's not doing the job. Greg Olson said at the end of the broadcast on Fox, and I think Greg's fantastic, as most people do, very popular. But he said he thought it'd be crazy. He said crazy talk to fire Mike McCarthy. I agree. Don't fire Mike. Keep him around. He can't go anywhere. He can't get it done. Oh, that's for damn sure. As expected, the Cowboys fall flat. I didn't expect them to lose to the Packers, although I did call the Packers as a playoff team before the year, and I did call Jordan Love as a good player, but I did not expect this. Dallas is capped. Dallas is soft. Dallas doesn't know how to win. The Niners won't get the pleasure of beating Dallas next week. I guess they wouldn't have gotten that in all likelihood, but they will get the Packers. But Cowboys suck. I mean, they are like on a relative scale. You know, most teams would pay to be this bad because it's not that bad, but it's bad for them. And they've convinced themselves they're a championship team. They're not a championship team. Every year we talk about it. Every year people go, is this the Cowboys year? Every year I say, no, it's not. Dak, not an MVP. Mike McCarthy, not a championship coach. Oh, but Mike's won a championship. Yeah, with a Hall of Fame quarterback. But he's not winning another one. And they're going the wrong direction. They get further and further away. They spend more time trying to make sure they say cool stuff for the microphone when Dak's under center than figuring out ways to win. Here we go. They had one audible that was, it sounded, maybe I'm wrong, sure sounded like false Shanahan. Quote unquote, false Shanahan. Why are they talking about Shanahan? What are you guys doing? They seem so preoccupied with making sure they sound cool on camera and run some sweet stuff and get patted on the back for point differential and not win. The worst part about it is that Dan Quinn's probably the better coach they got, but their defense, got sliced and diced today. They gave up almost 50. So what are they going to do? Well, they better hire Belichick. It's not some like crazy pipe dream. Bill is available. Your team has reached its peak. It's now on the downside because, I don't know, your coach got nothing. There's all these Shanahan guys everywhere that can kick his ass. It's over. He's done. It's toast. Go hire Bill. Now, the rest of the NFC is like, please don't. Go hire Bill. If Jerry Jones doesn't hire Bill, did you see what Breer wrote? Breer tweeted this. Total meltdown. And just a note, Belichick has quietly in recent years, through doing football business and attending owners' meetings, built a very solid relationship with both Jerry and Stephen Jones. Things might be getting pretty interesting here. Yeah. He's done. And that's too bad. That's too bad for the rest of the NFC because the one thing you could always count on is, first of all, the Cowboys getting some version of home field was always great. Because you could go to Dallas and you'd have no problem with their crowd noise. No issue at all. Like Dallas was perfect. The Niners didn't phase the Niners. Didn't phase not rookie quarterback, but first time playoff quarterback Jordan Love on the road. Unfazed. Why? Because it's not a home field advantage. The Cowboys getting like a 2 seed every year is a gift to the NFC, or a 1 seed, or a 3 seed, or whatever. Whoever's got to go to Dallas, the Niners had it is a gift to go to Dallas. Going to Dallas instead of playing at home in Green Bay, actually, I don't know what the weather in Green Bay was today, but if it looks anything like Buffalo, the Packers would rather have been there. Just like Aaron Rodgers would rather have been in San Francisco playing the Niners a couple of years ago, as opposed to being in Green Bay. Well, you'd rather go to Dallas than most other places. I'd rather go to Dallas than go play the Lions. I'm watching this right now. It's Sunday night live as I'm talking, looking at Detroit. That place looks juiced. Dallas, you can hear a pin drop. So it's no home field. It's no championship level team. It's not an MVP quarterback. It's a coach who's not a championship level coach. And it's a franchise that's peaked and is in total disarray. Again, tough. I'm going to miss them. I really am. I wish Dallas was hanging around the playoffs. Green Bay's scrappy. Jordan Love's fun to watch. But I'm gonna miss these guys and their coach that lied to get the job, and now looks like the kind of coach. I know guys who played for him, who like him, who say solid dude. Here we go. But the Cowboys look like they hired a guy that lied to get the job. That's what they look like. So are they going to lose everybody? So now they got Quinn, who might take Seattle's job or might not. It's going to feel like they're going to be happy if they lose them after they give up 48. But again, the defense historically has been fine for them. Not their main issue. Like in an ideal world, they'd keep him, get a new head coach if I were running Cowboys. Now, if you get Bill, you don't need Dan Quinn, no biggie. You got defense covered. The challenge there then is finding the offense. But I hope we do it again. I hope they keep them. We run it back. Here's what will happen in 2024. Dallas will be a top 5 offense. We'll say maybe this is the year. Mike will spend the offseason watching all the games. And, they'll tell everybody they figured it out. They didn't figure it out. They never figured it out. They're not about to figure it out. Good for Jordan Love. Jordan Love, 272, 3 touchdowns, no picks today. By the way, thank you, Dak. Dak, 41 of 60, 403 passing yards today. So that's an above on the old Prize Picks there. Yeah, that's an above. I need other things to go right, but that's an above on the Prize Picks. Thank you very much. Code HAM. Go sign up. There we go. Here we go. Oh. Niners. So as we're doing this, people think they're going to get a little Saturday game, projecting a Saturday game against Green Bay. That's sweet. That'd be big time. Media is ridiculous. Thank you for the super chat, Vicky. Media is ridiculous, hyping the Cowboys. The beauty of hyping the Cowboys is that you can, this is what they always say. They build you up to tear you down. The beauty with Dallas is you don't have to do it. They'll do it for themselves. They're just, they have a ceiling and they reach it every year. I'll say that for Dallas. They reach their ceiling every year. You're seeing it. This is it. They're not a championship team. Brian with a 5 spot on the super chat. Level of concern going to next week. Sitting 3 weeks. Jordan Love on fire. Incredible run game since Love came back. Since Jones came back. He was 6 yards a carry today. 3 rushing touchdowns. 118 yards. I'd put on a scale of 1 to 10. I'd put it at a 4. I think Niners are in great shape. Playing a young quarterback, clearly talented. Give the Packers their due. Very good coach. I mean, they got rid of McCarthy, upgraded. LaFleur's an upgrade. Now, is Jordan Love going to have Aaron Rodgers' career? I don't know. But this year, clear upgrade. Aaron didn't play. He got hurt. Jordan Love was a stud after they got over their early season losing. Pretty impressive operation when you compare the two. The Cowboys organization, the Packers organization. The way the Packers have handled this with patience, with expertise, it's really impressive. Extremely impressive. How come no one talks about LaFleur as the coach of the year? But he's a coach of the year candidate. I mean, he's not going to win it, but legitimately one of the best coaching jobs. So I like the Niners matchup against Love. This is a team that scores a lot. Niners are second in the league in passing touchdowns, 33 passing touchdowns for the 49ers this year. Green Bay, number 3 in the NFL in passing touchdowns, 32. Number 1 in that category, Dallas. Bye-bye. Niners, number 1 in the league in yards per play. Green Bay, number 8 in the league in yards per play. Niners, number 7 in yards per play defense. Green Bay, number 20 in yards per play defense. That's the difference there. I don't think, I think you think back on the Ravens game, what happened in the Dallas game, Dak turned the ball over. Maybe both teams going to try and take the ball. Did you notice Green Bay took the ball and had a very Shanahan drive to start the game. It was a very Kyle Shanahan-like drive to start the game. 8 for 75. Well, what is that? 12 plays, 67-yard touchdown. Great. Look at some of these scoring drives for Green Bay. These were Shanahan-like today. 12-play touchdown drive, 10-play touchdown drive, 8-play touchdown drive. They had some other faster drives too, and then obviously they had the pick 6. But that's that's the Shanahan blueprint right there. And I think the difference is the Niners will be better prepared, and also they'll be able to run the ball. And I expect them to stop the run better. So I'm excited to see the game. By no stretch do you just chalk it up, because Jordan Love's got some talent, and their coach is really good. I said before the playoffs started, when you think about the matchups the Niners could get in the NFC, and you went through it by coach and quarterback, that the Rams were the toughest coach-quarterback combination that the 49ers could see. And that still holds up. They are. What I had not thought about was who was second in that category. And, it might be Green Bay. I wouldn't have said Dallas. I mean, maybe I would have said Dallas just by some weird default. You just give it to McCarthy and Dak because they score a lot of points. But they're not actually, neither one of them is elite at what they do. LaFleur is elite at what he does. I've said that for a long time. And that's not some limb, but I've been a LaFleur believer for a long time. I've been a Jordan Love believer since last year. And like right now, if you said, give me an offseason, who you taking, Love or Dak for the future? I'd go, well, Dak's a good player. Who's my coach? I think Dak with LaFleur would be solid. Dak and Kyle would be solid, but Jordan Love just got a little ceiling to him that I love. So that's the next best combo left. I mean, I would put Love and LaFleur as a combination ahead of Goff and Ben Johnson. And I would take Love over Goff if you said, next 5 years, what do you want to do? Just because he's got a chance at having a ceiling, which is what most of these NFC quarterbacks don't have, is a chance at a ceiling, right? I think Richard Sherman tweeted during the game about how much fun it'll be to look out in the future into the offseason and kind of talk about Love and Stroud and Purdy, where those guys rank against each other and the next wave of young quarterbacks and that kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm a Packer. I'm pro Packer just in terms of the future, but I'm at a 4. Where are you guys at? Scale of 1 to 10 from a Niners perspective with them. I'm at a 4. God, they upgraded. They upgraded a coach over McCarthy, and they made the right decision at quarterback. Jordan Love, early in that game, I was thinking Jordan Love is what Jerry Jones thinks Trey Lance is going to be in 3 years. If we just wait and we're patient with him, we can develop him and make him a starting quarterback. But the thing is, the guy that developed Jordan Love, first of all, Jordan had played a lot more football, but the guy that had developed Jordan Love is a really good quarterback coach. LaFleur's just very good. Oh, here's Eminem, 8 Mile. I'm watching this, watching a little. I got a 4, a 7. Cole's Gaming says he's at a 7. I got to know a little bit. I got to know a little bit about that 7. Packers have 3,000 wide receivers. What? Is that how many receiving yards they have, or is that how many different guys they throw the ball to? They do throw the ball to a lot of guys. Melton. Did Jordan Love just have a perfect passer rating? 157.2 was Jordan Love's passer rating today. What is he? He had 3 touchdowns today. So since that early stretch where they started slow, I guess was that since week 11, he's now 21 touchdowns, 1 pick. Don't underestimate Kyle's ability to come out and completely blow it against Green Bay. I don't think that's in his I don't think that's in his I mean, he could get beat, but I don't I'd be surprised. It'd be that would be far more surprising than this. For 158.3 did that, but that's not what it was. So he must so he had a perfect one. Let me see. Somebody just said he had a perfect one until his last incompletion. Because 158.3 is what I just saw a tweet, but I'm looking at the box score here. It says 157.2. So I don't think he finished perfect. Somebody said, did I miss your super chat? No, Gopher, I did not. Super chat, how in the hell did Dak get AP All-Pro over Purdy? Well, they don't have the excuse of voting too early like the players did. By the way, Tito's, before I answer this, before I go any further, Tito's toast to all of you for jumping in. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, but especially to Kyle Juszczyk, who would have been, he could be like a 7 or 8 time All-Pro, but they didn't have fullback on the All-Pro team. They get the All-Pro team fullback up there this year, and Juice made the list. So, and then got upstaged by his wife, who made Taylor Swift's jacket, but he was happy about it. How in the hell did Dak get AP All-Pro over Purdy? I mean, I guess it probably tells you that if it came down to it, he was going to get the MVP vote over Brock too. That's probably what that says. Can you imagine him going up there to accept the MVP after, basically being on vacation for a month before the Super Bowl award ceremony, whenever they do NFL honors? Yeah, I mean, I understood it at a point going into their game, Dallas's game, going into Dallas's game in Buffalo. I understood it. Like, I think I said at the time I probably would vote for McCaffrey, but I understood why some people could kind of felt that way about Dak going into, mid-December. But then he got his ass kicked by the Bills. Then they lost to Miami. When they got beat by the Buffalo Bills, it was over. He was out. He was not winning that MVP. But seeing the fact that, seeing him get All-Pro, it also just speaks to the year that it was. It's not an All-Pro level quarterback. He's a good player. He's never going to be a tier 1 Sando guy. He's not going to get tier 1 next year now on the Sando list, which is not an award, but it just kind of tells you how we think about a player. And he was trending towards, like, it was almost going to force people into putting him on tier 1, even though people clearly don't want to put him on tier 1, but it was going to force people into putting him on tier 1. And, or at least some people. And that's obviously over and done with. That's not happening. We'll see. Now, Brock's got a playoff opportunity coming up, right? Purdy's got a chance to, he's got to make his moment in a week against the Packers. He's sitting around right now, which is good. He needs the rest, stay away from the stingers. He's going to get his shot. But you could see how, these situations, these postseason situations, all eyes on you, solo window on television, this makes or breaks it for you. And in a week, it's gonna be a big, I know some people watching this or listening to this aren't going to like this, but it's the first step in kind of make or break, right? You lose to the Packers at home, which is what Dallas just did. People just, they're going to assume that everything positive people said about you was wrong. And they're not going to take you seriously. And next year, if you've got, if you're Dak and you've got whatever the number is, right, 32 touchdowns and 7 picks or whatever, people are going, yeah, whatever. I've seen this story before. So being an All-Pro, second team All-Pro, whatever. I think in the long run, from a marketing standpoint or an endorsement standpoint, I'm not sure that it even really matters. From a football standpoint, for Brock Purdy, it's completely irrelevant. It's only a positive, really. He doesn't need the AP Pro Bowl vote. He doesn't need the players he doesn't need the Pro Bowl. He got the Pro Bowl vote. He doesn't need the AP All Pro vote. He doesn't need the players All Pro vote. He doesn't need the MVP, right? All of that stuff, which would be nice. You'd want your guy to win it. You'd want to win it without question, but it doesn't change anything. What matters is, what does he do against the LaFleur Packers, presumably on Saturday? That's it. Was this Dak's last game as a Cowboy? No. For who? Who are they replacing him with? They got no options. They got no options. Their best option is to replace their coach. That is by far and away Dallas's best option. JM. That's it. Replacing the quarterback is harder, more expensive. And honestly, if you gave Dak to Shanahan or LaFleur or to McVay, he'd have a chance. He'd have a chance to win a championship. I mean, some of you out there who think the Lions can win. So if you think the Lions can win, then a good coach with Dak can definitely win. Now, if you don't think the Lions can win, and I don't think the Lions can win the Super Bowl because of their quarterback. I like Jared, but I don't think he's going to win a Super Bowl. Just made a hell of a throw, though. I actually think you could give yourself a shot with Dak. Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. We already know who's next, right? Not. I think they'd be crazy not to hire Bill. They'd be crazy not to hire Bill. Like, they'd be crazy to keep Mike, right? Jerry Jones is what, 82 years old? How old is Jerry? Jerry is 81, October 13th, 1942. Okay? 1942. He was born during World War II. World War II was like 3 years from being over when Jerry Jones was born. I just don't see how he could roll it back with McCarthy again if he wants to win as badly as he says he wants to win, as badly as I believe as badly as he wants to win, when Bill Belichick is just sitting there for you to hire. It immediately, and people think the last few years have exposed Bill. I'm not one of those people. You give Bill a better quarterback than he's had post Brady. Probably the second best quarterback he's had, really, when you think about it. And he'd have a shot. He'd have a shot. So I know it doesn't feel like it feels like a lot of ego in one room. You'd be crazy not to do it. That aside, is he going to call Lincoln Riley? Jerry going to call Lincoln Riley? Going to call somebody, Ben Johnson? He's going to hire Ben Johnson? Like, go hire Ben Johnson. A lot of people would love for you to hire Ben. Like, it'd be a hell of a hire. You'd get applauded if you went and hired Ben Johnson. What does that make him? I don't know. You go hire Harbaugh? Go hire Jim? I don't see how you could hire Jim when Bill's available, but I guess you could. You can't tell me too much ego with Belichick and then hire Harbaugh. And Jim would make him a contender immediately too. But if you got the choice between Jim and Belichick, you got to hire Bill. And let Stephen Jones do the drafting. But you can't, either one of those guys. But the bottom line is the NFC doesn't want him to hire Belichick, doesn't want him to hire Harbaugh. Vrabel? Pete Carroll? I think they'd compete with Pete Carroll, but I'd have the same attitude that I kind of do with Mike, which is you're not winning the championship because he's not fundamentally making your quarterback a better player. You need somebody who can fundamentally make your quarterback build something around him and make your team more physical, tougher on offense, which is, what Jim would do. Maybe Ben Johnson would do it. I don't know. Michael, what's the hype with Lincoln Riley? I don't get it. I don't know. There's a part of it. I think Jerry Jones and Lincoln probably, I feel like there'd be something there that they would have talked before, that Jerry would have looked into Lincoln before. I bet they got something there. Cowboys have no energy, zero energy. Their stadium's got no juice, man. I've been to that stadium. It's an awesome stadium. A lot of people. I really think it's a cool stadium, but there's not a home field advantage. He's stale. The game is past Bill. He's got no answers for the emerging Shanahan offenses. Question would be who's his coordinator. But if you can hire Bill Belichick, it's an immediate upgrade over Mike McCarthy. You do that. Mike McCarthy was the false Shanahan. Well, what? I'm not crazy, right? He said the audible was false Shanahan, false Shanahan. That's a crazy audible. Good news for the 49ers are getting healthy, getting everybody back. Juwan Jennings is out there tweeting about A.J. Brown. The Eagles don't have enough. So the bye week has been incredible for them. It's incredible for anybody, but I think it was really incredible for that team. Who, when you think about the Niners, I wouldn't say they were an injured team, but they were hurt in some key spots that they are much better when those guys, Juwan Jennings, Eric Armstead, Jair Brown, right, when those guys are healthy. And them getting them back makes me feel really good about them. So that's why I said I'm at a 4 with the Packers. It's a great matchup. I know a lot of people are speculating it'll be the 5:30 Pacific game on Saturday night, which the Niners are fine with. That means short week for your opponent, so you would take that in a heartbeat. You think about Green Bay, they got to go back home, then get back on the plane, get to the Niners on Friday. So you would take that in a heartbeat if you're the Niners. You would take a Saturday Packer game. And it feels like everything's kind of fallen into place for you. Now, Green Bay beating Dallas having won that game, it wouldn't have mattered. If you told me Dallas just won that game 48, whatever, I'd say my number would be a 6. That's the number I'd be at for the Niners and the Cowboys. I'd still be maybe a 5.5. Very confident about them against Dallas. They own the Cowboys, and they'd be rested. So, what's more perfect? Jordan Love's passer rating or guy's hair? I appreciate that. I'm going to text Laz again tomorrow, Monday, as I do every Monday morning. Every Monday morning, I wake up. First thing I do is I text my barber. I say, Laz, what do we got this week? And then we book something. So what ends up happening is I just get a little, I would not say perfect today. It's been, today is Sunday. I got a haircut last on Tuesday. So it's been 5 days, and it just starts after 5 days. You just can tell it needs a little bit of love. It needs a little help. It gets a little long in the back, and appreciate you saying that. Thank you. But needs a little help. Travis, Packers may be without their best cornerback also. Yeah, Jair Alexander. I've not seen has there been a post-game report on Jair, who, the way his teammate reacted to him going down, it looked like something bad had happened, but he was dealing with an ankle. I don't know how to spell his name, so I can't get a report on him on Twitter. But he's not 100%. That much is clear. So even if he comes back, okay, here we go. Jaire. He looks pretty comfortable walking into the locker room. There's a Packers beat writer 28 minutes ago with a clip of him. Does not look like he's limping. Looked like he was putting weight equally. So he'll be back. But, this is where it gets a little tougher now. If you ended up on a short week, they won't send him out there for the coin toss. But it looks like he'll at least be back. Which that's fine. I mean, like they got some, no question, some talented dudes on their defense. I like their group. Quay Walker is humongous. Quay Walker on the field looks like he's 6'8", 255 pounds. What is that guy's height and weight? Quay Walker is 6'4", 240. I mean, he is so freaking big. And they put number 7 on him. And he looks like he doesn't belong out there. Jaquise Quay Walker, 23 years old, from Cordell, Georgia. I need a Georgian here. These guys all go. You play Georgia, you went to a high school with a sweet name. He went to Crisp County High School. This guy was the 22nd pick of the draft in 22. There were not 21 dudes that looked better than Quay Walker. Solid. That 22 draft was Aiden Hutchinson, Sauce Gardner, Kayvon Thibodeau. Some really good defensive players went in that draft. That was the draft with all the receivers. Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jameson Williams went boom, 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 boom. Kyle Hamilton in the first round. Trent McDuffie in the first round. Quay Walker in the first round. They got 2 first rounders out of Georgia in that draft. But that guy looks like a beast. How do you say it? Cordelli? I don't know. I don't think Surtain was in that draft. I don't think Surtain was. Derek Stingley was in that draft. No Surtain in that draft. This is the difference right here. Packers, DVOA, number 26 against the pass, number 26 against the run. As I said, 20th in yards per play. Cordele, yeah, that makes it even better. That's even better than the one I said. Cordele County. Yeah, that's good. That guy, he looks like he's from Cordele County. I knew we'd get some people in here with the Georgia accent. Anyway, the defense is what makes you feel good. So if you go back to the beginning of the game, what happened? The Packers go on that Shanahan drive, and then they play from in front. They took the ball first and they played from in front. I thought that was a pretty telling moment there from LaFleur. And obviously that's what the Niners want to do. And then what happened with Dallas? Dak started turning the ball over. The pick 6 he threw was the one that you felt like, oh, this is happening. It's one thing to be down 14-0, 17. He throws the pick 6, and you're like, this is happening. And, that's what Brock can't do in this game. That's what will keep the Niners out of the Super Bowl. Picks, turnovers. That's what will keep the 49ers out of the Super Bowl, is turning the ball over. Outside of turning the ball over, and I've said this for a while, but they're going to the Super Bowl. We'll see what the Rams and Lions do here by the time, if you're listening to this after the fact, you already know what happened there. Either one of those teams, I'd feel better about the 49ers beating Detroit just because of the quarterback, but I know a lot of people that don't agree with that. We'll see how this thing goes. Stephen A just posted a video. For whatever it's worth, I simply watch it due to my Cowboy hatred, LOL. I hate the Cowboys more than Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, well, that's what he's counting on. That's been a winning formula for Stephen. So, Cody, comment from Cody. You imagine a Tampa Lion Niner Packer divisional round. Yeah. Even the Rams, who feel big time, but they're not Niners eyeballs wise. They're not Niners, Cowboys, Eagles, right? We'll get that game on Monday night without A.J. Brown. That would feel like less than superstar power. The Bucks Lions would. I kind of want to see that just from the standpoint of people will say this is the NFL's nightmare, and then it'll roll out and do however many millions, however many million people. But I can't imagine that. Pollard was having success. Score got away, so hard to run the ball. Niners should be able to run on Green Bay. Green Bay, it was the 49ers. I'm telling you, it was the 49ers formula today for them. Play from in front. Cowboys are so focused on the Niners, they forgot that in order to put on your best dress, you actually have to punch your ticket to the dance first. They weren't going. That's who they are, man. That is who they are. So, Mike McCarthy asked afterwards, I don't think anyone saw this coming. We didn't get it done in any of the phases. I'm just reading it. This is an Ed Werder tweet here. Asked about his future, I think the biggest thing is we're disappointed. I haven't thought past the outcome of this game. Well, I've been thinking past the outcome of all their games for a long time. They've been tricking themselves for a while. Another Cowboys reporter from The Athletic is from The Athletic, Jerry Jones, who talks all the time. Great for content. Asked if he's Cowboys owner asked about a meeting with Mike McCarthy. There's nothing said on that. What I had planned to do was be with him tomorrow, going over how we played today and getting ready for the coming week. That's what was on the agenda. Tomorrow, my agenda will be to dismiss the team. So he had it on his calendar to review the game with McCarthy and prepare for their opponent next week. Which, if you're going to say, like, bad fit with Bill or bad fit with Harbaugh, Bill would not be fired up about reviewing the game plan, reviewing the tape with the owner the day after the game. Now, Jerry has a pretty established standing in the NFL, right? He is a major character. Maybe Bill would be willing to do something like that for Jerry in a way that he wouldn't do for other people. But I don't know. That'd be a little scary if you were, hoping to hire one of those kind of big time guys, right? Like Ben Johnson, certainly Mike McCarthy, who lied about watching all the tape. Here we go. Can't tell Jerry I'm not doing that. He can't say to Jerry, you know what, man, I'm not going to review the tape with you. And I guess maybe anybody who has that job would just do it because it's just part of the deal. You got to play the politics. You got to play the guy signs the checks. You got to do it. But that just gives you an idea of kind of what being the Cowboys coach entails. And maybe it gives us a little insight as to why Dallas just has not been able organizationally to break through since Jerry made the mistake, which he admitted, of firing Jimmy Johnson. So that would be scary if you got options. If you could be the Charger coach, would you rather be the Charger coach? Well, on one hand, like, yeah. On the other hand, being the Cowboys coach is like, the same reason Kalen DeBoer takes the Alabama job. You just kind of gotta. How do I not? The difference in theory in the NFL is that they can pay you a lot more money. But Rams just settled for a field goal, huh? In theory, in the NFL, everyone's making the same. In college, it's like, well, I'm going to go to Alabama. They're going to pay me a lot more money than Washington's going to pay me. But in the NFL, in theory, they should all be able to. I mean, the Raiders are handing out $90 million, but like they should be able to. They can all pay the same. So, being the Cowboys coach is a pretty special place to be. But is that better than being the Chargers coach with Justin Herbert? I don't think so. For all the things that people say about the Spanoses, and people don't have to say anything, like their franchise just doesn't win. They also, I don't think, schedule Monday morning meetings to review the game plan. If I were an owner, it'd be very attractive to do it. You want to do it. Like, I own the team. What fun is owning the team if the coach doesn't go through the game plan with me and I can't tell all my buddies about it? But man, that's not how you win a championship. Oh, these guys are in trouble. I don't know what they're going to do. If they don't hire Harbaugh or Bill, Ben Johnson's the savior. Yikes. They are in big trouble. Jed Fish, by the way, taking the Washington job. Like, on a plane right now, I think, to Seattle to go talk to the team. Going to make like $7+ million. When Jim Harbaugh took the Niner job a little more than a decade ago, that was a 5-year, $25 million contract at the time. I would not have guessed at the time that, like, the Washington Huskies would be paying more for their football coach by like probably like 40% than the Niners were paying Jim Harbaugh a decade ago. I have not seen yet. Has anybody seen the Kalen DeBoer contract value? I haven't looked. Contract value at Alabama. Niners are feeling good right now. They are propped up on the couch. What did Debo say he's eating this week? Wings and fries? Jack, Raider Jack, give me some. Give me some, Jack. Niners are the worst playoff team. Don't win crap. You know, Jack highlights something here. There's a lot of pressure on the 49ers now. There already was. Now they get Green Bay. There's even more. The line on this game is going to be, let's see if there is one yet. I thought I saw like 9.5 somewhere perspective. Line. Let's see. Do we get a line here? Yeah, we got open to 10. Niners Packers opened at 10. So the Niners already were, all or nothing. Win this game and continue on with business as usual in the NFC Championship game against whoever, or lose this game and suffer one of the worst losses in franchise history. Know that losing to Green Bay would feel like one of the worst losses in franchise history. They are a 10-point favorite, to open this game up. Regardless of opponent, it could have been Dallas, it could have been Tampa, it could have been Philly, it could have been the Rams, it could have been anybody. I mean, it couldn't have been anybody really, but couldn't have been Dallas. But you know what I'm saying? No matter who they played this week, losing the game would feel like one of the worst losses you could possibly imagine because of how good this roster is, and they got the bye. So there is nothing shy of a Super Bowl that will be, and I always laugh about using the word acceptable. Like, it's not acceptable. It's like, well, is he getting fired if he loses the game? No. So I guess in that way, it's kind of acceptable. But it's really, with that definition aside, there's no scenario in which you can lose before the Super Bowl and have people feel like you didn't choke it away, right? Like, anytime you lose, it's disappointing. That's obvious. But there's no scenario in which the Niners can lose before the Super Bowl and have it not feel like they embarrassed themselves, got embarrassed, the coach got embarrassed, like some version of that. There's no good, I don't see it. I don't see the pathway where you go, all right, that's understandable. As bad as the Eagles' loss was last year, like, that was the pathway, right? Like, well, what can you do? Short of that, and even that, because Shanahan, I thought rightfully got some blame for that play last year, and even though he didn't accept it, he got it. And this year, if you were to be in that same spot, you've got, Darnold now. You got a better backup. You're more prepared for it. So, you have less excuses. Then you add on to it that you got a team in here now that you're a 10-point favorite over. If you told me, I mean, there's just no, you can't. Like, you can't. If for some reason Darnold had to play, you cannot lose that game. And then whatever comes next. So I hesitate to say this because it's what it feels like, but it's always scary. The gates have opened even wider for them. It's always a lot easier in theory than it is to really walk through that door and be the team that wins the championship. But, if I'm them right now, it definitely feels like the door opened a little bit wider for you. Not that Dallas was going to stop you. Dallas was it was not going to be them. That one would have hurt more in a different way because you just don't want to lose to Dallas, but you can't lose this game too. And, for Kyle, there are so many Kyle guys out there now that it feels so, so many of these games feel personal. And this one feels a little personal, very personal for Kyle. There seemed like there was some hurt feelings over the way things played out with Aaron Rodgers a couple of years ago that, the 49ers said that we did not reach out, but there had been some reports that maybe there'd been some communication before the draft. Would the Niners be interested in Aaron Rodgers? Could they get him? Would Aaron say, send me to San Francisco? There was no way in the plan that the Packers were going to do that. but it seemed like there were some, maybe just some hurt feelings over that situation. And I don't know if that still lingers over this. These guys have, publicly, we've seen them in positions to, post game handshake and look like friends, and they have. But uh, these guys really want to beat each other, which it's the playoffs. Who cares? But I think it just adds a little more. It adds a little more personal element to it. The good thing, if you're the Niners, this game was so out of hand early that you really could start diving a little more into the Green Bay Packers. I bet they did. I wonder. Be interesting to hear Kyle talk about this. Could they dive into this Green Bay team early, just given the degree to which they were kicking the Cowboys' ass? I mean, this thing was, what was the halftime score? 27-7. Like, it's 27-7. You think Kyle is definitely firing up the Packers tape at halftime or before then. 27-0. 27-0 with a minute. How much time was left? 2 minutes? Yeah, 2 minutes left. 2 minutes left is 27-0. Kyle's like, give me the Packers tape. Fire that stuff up. Save themselves some time on the film study. LaFleur, dark horse coach of the year. I mean, if you did rank voting, D'Amico deserves to be up there for sure. D'Amico's a lot better than like the Daboll, we thought you were going to suck and you turned out to be solid thing. Like, D'Amico really got those guys going, right? Like, that's a real team. They won a real playoff game, albeit against Flacco, but they won a playoff game. So I'd say D'Amico, I think Miami it's going to be really hard for Miami. They got to get out of Miami and get a new quarterback if they're going to win on the road in the playoffs. My thing with Miami was, if they don't get the 1 seed, they're probably toast, and they were. They're just not going to go on the road and win the playoffs. Dan Campbell, I mean, I'd have to put Campbell ahead of LaFleur. You'd have to put Campbell ahead of LaFleur on your Coach of the Year list. As good as Green Bay looked today, let's remember they did go 9-8, which was good for them. I think McVay should garner some Coach of the Year award stuff. I'd go D'Amico or Campbell. So I don't think LaFleur's actually dark horse candidate, but he's just on the list of guys that did a hell of a job this year. J. Mill asks, Dak versus Tua, who you got? I would take Dak. I know. Sounds awful. Sounds like an awful choice. Dambo says Stefanski, a strong candidate. 100%. Yeah, Stefanski goes 11-6. What an awful situation those guys are in. You trade everything you traded to the Texans. You pay Deshaun. You got to keep him around, I guess, because you paid him. And then the Texans take all the picks you gave them and become like a real football team. But I would still go D'Amico over him. MP says, I bet the Packers were the most watched team. He knew his guy was going to go into Dallas and destroy him. It's been a Packer week since last Sunday for Kyle. He knew. Yeah. I don't. I bet he's watching some. Well, I mean, part of it would be we've played Philly. So if we get Philly, whatever. Tampa, you would think, doesn't scare you at all. But, their defense is solid. I mean, that'd be the one thing when we talked about it this week, Green Bay or Tampa. You'd say, well, Tampa's defense is better than Green Bay's defense. Their quarterback can't beat you. Cannot. Baker cannot beat you. And he's banged up, too. He's like a walking corpse. And then you go really young quarterback. Yeah, so maybe Green Bay was at the top of their list. Just unfamiliar, unusual. Hey, by the way, if you're here right now, hit those likes for Raider Guy, for Niner Guy. We appreciate that very much. Brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly. Butcherbox.com/ham and then use the code ham. You can get free turkey. I think it's free. It's either free turkey or free chicken, free beef, free salmon. What you can pick which one you want for a year. GameTime app, gametime.co, and Prize Picks. You saw my Prize Picks team here. I actually had a few, not team, but a few different Prize Picks entries above or below, and it's going well right now. We'll see what happens with this game though. But Detroit's got a little something to them. I thought I wondered about Detroit. Mission accomplished. They've already won their championship just by getting in the playoffs. But maybe they're just better. Maybe they're just a better team. Yaffe says Bosa needs to step up like Hutchinson is. They asked Nick. I saw Nick Bosa being asked this week, what he feels like does need to get more of anything. I don't remember exactly how the question was phrased, but his answer was, I'm just trying to win 2 games. I'm just trying to get my team 2 wins, which it has been an interesting year for Nick because at times it definitely, the slow start being a part of it, hasn't felt like highest paid defensive player in the league level production. Even though I have felt, even early on when he was getting no sacks, like he was somewhat living up to who he is and what he's supposed to be. Where did he finish this year? God, if you got to go Control F search, then not very high. 10.5 sacks for Nick, which is 17th, T17 in the league. I know if we went to the PFF grades, I'm sure he's 1 or 2. The pressure's off the charts. So, I felt like Nick Bosa did his part this year. I don't know that you can ever earn that contract unless you're getting quote unquote earn, right? Unless you're just doing all the little things and making the splash plays, 22 sacks, whatever. But I thought he did his job this year. I thought they got Nick Bosa this year. Like they paid for Nick Bosa. They didn't get the full Nick Bosa stat package, but I thought they got Nick Bosa. Maybe the slow start somewhat because of all the time he missed. And it'd be interesting to see, not really a topic for now, but we can talk about whatever we want, I guess. Does he treat next year's offseason any differently? Does he come in earlier? Does he practice a little bit more? I don't think he'll practice more, but I do wonder if he'll show up a little bit earlier just to eliminate that conversation. Now, if you're coming off a Super Bowl championship, nobody's talking about it. Who cares, right? But I thought they got their guy. I thought the real Nick Bosa played for the 49ers this year. Bosa can be better. I mean, I think he was around the quarterback like when I watch him against the run, he's him. He felt to me like he was around the quarterback constantly. I thought he was disruptive. I thought he was affected the game all the time just by being out there. He was healthy just by being out there. He commands so much attention, so much gravity. Comments, shout out to Mooney for earning every penny of his contract. High paid, still great value. Nailed it. As good as you possibly could have expected it to be when you signed Mooney Ward. Absolutely nailed it. So, they've done I thought they got Nick Bosa. They got Mooney Ward. They improved their corners. Like their corners, you got to give them credit. I thought that Ambry was kind of a lost cause and that it was looking like maybe you'd go 0 for 2 on Lenore and Ambry Thomas. Steve Wilkes, I don't think is going anywhere. I expect him to be back. And that'd be good news for the DBs. That'd be really good news for, Jair Brown, because I think he's got to get some of the credit. He's got to get a lot of the credit for Ambry Thomas stepping it up, becoming a guy that you want healthy. And for, even though Isaiah Oliver kind of felt like maybe that's his guy, for being ready to pivot off of him at the slot, going to Diamador Lenore, making sure that Ambry Thomas can produce for you, and putting together a solid secondary. I think a good enough secondary to win the Super Bowl, provided you got Armstead. And, Hargrave's another guy. Like, Hargrave, I thought, was good for them. Lenore had a good year. Lenore was really good. Lenore had a really good year for them. So they did a really good job. And it's why I said, from a draft standpoint, from a free agency standpoint, from a quarterback standpoint, from a roster construction standpoint, like all of these things have come together for them. And it feels like you are about to score up the baseball. Like you got a chance to flush it. And now they got to do it. They got to flush it. A.J. Brown should be available this offseason at Prague, says MP. That was you could tell very early this year that there was some trouble there with A.J. Brown. And it's just what makes Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, well, you got to be so appreciative of those two guys. If you're a coach, if you're a teammate, if you're a fan, they don't do any of this crap. They are, especially since you got Deebo signed. But there's never a question as to whether or not he's committed to his team. A.J. Brown's a hell of a player. But what was it? I think it was the Buffalo game early this year, Eagles-Bills. Was it Bills? Who'd they play? Oh, no, it was the Vikings. They didn't play the Bills till later. It was the week 2 game against the Vikings where they are up going into the fourth quarter. They're trying to salt the game away. Not salt away. It's too early to salt away, but they just need to run the ball, control the clock. They're doing it. They are breaking off chunk plays. They are running the ball. They're controlling the clock. A.J. Brown throws a little fit on the sideline. Sirianni, in his defense, a little out of his depth, but Sirianni comes over there, has to settle the situation down, and then they start throwing the football to A.J. Brown. Incomplete, clock stops. Incomplete, clock stops. And they let Minnesota get back in that game because they got away from playing winning football because A.J. Brown was mad. He was bored. I'm not getting the ball. Throw me the ball. Week 2 of the season. Already mad. That was a major red flag on A.J. Brown and the Eagles this year. Now, they didn't lose their second game until the Niners beat them on December 3rd. So the only real red flag people had were point differential. But I did it at the time. You can, go check. I made a YouTube video about it at the time, back on September 14th. That was a problem. That was a red flag for them. And, it's turned out to be part of maybe what the issue is for them. The issue for the Eagles has been that, not that things went wrong. Things go wrong for every team. The issue for the Eagles has been that when things went wrong, they got no fix. Their coach can't fix it. I've said it all year. I've said it 2 years. Their coach can't fix their problems for them. And they told everybody in the world that because he was the offensive coordinator already, they took play calling duties from him. So we knew they weren't going back to him. They already told us they can't fix it. He can't fix it. I mean, that's not real. Like he's just not it's too expensive, whatever. It's not didn't know that about AJ in week 2. Titans trading him age decently. I mean, age bad for the Titans. But he wouldn't have, he would have been a problem if he was there this year. All right, Eagles and Cowboys on the downswing next year, unless one of them gets Belichick Harbaugh. Washington's going to be on the upswing with Peters running the ship. They still got to get a quarterback. They still got to get a quarterback. Dallas would have a chance. We'll see if Ben Johnson were to become their coach. Clearly a good offensive coach. So they'd have a shot. But they got a long way to go. When you look at, let me just pull up who's going to be, just for fun. I know we got this year still to deal with, but who do you feel like's on the upswing without a major change? Regardless of what happens, Detroit is. Miami is not. They got to find a quarterback. Dallas is going to have to find a coach. If they run it back, that's their problem. Philly, I think, should have to I've said this. I'd fire Sirianni yesterday, and I've been saying that for a long time. This is not just a new reaction. I'd go to the good news for the NFC is that Harbaugh just feels like there's too much ego for Dallas to hire him, and there's too much ego for Philly to hire him. Seattle's going to have to find a quarterback and a coach. They'll be an interesting one because there's going to be some quarterbacks here in the first round that people are going to feel like can help you win fast. So, will Seattle get one of them? And they won't all be able to do it, but you figure one of these teams is going to get a quarterback in like the teen range, and maybe one of them will immediately get better because of it. But if they hire Dan Quinn, that doesn't concern you at all if you're the Niners. You've got his number. You know how to beat him. Chargers should get Harps. That would be the best thing. That would be the best thing. And did Washington hire Adam Peters in part because they feel like he can help them get Belichick? Maybe. That he could work with Bill? Maybe. That's a great call from Dan here. Wasn't Peters in New England? Yes. It's where he started as a scout. So, it's been a long time, but, he's been at a high level of the NFL for a long time, so he knows Bill. So that feels like what most people are betting on. But they, that would feel a couple years away. Then I could go get Kirk Cousins. What quarterbacks are out there for them? Russ. It's just the most ready-made teams to win. Dallas, because they got talent. Chargers. Not Seattle. Okay. That's it for this Sunday night. If you're here right now, hit that like button. Appreciate it. If you already hit it, thank you. Subscribe to the channel. Niners will play the Packers this week. Looking forward to that. We'll talk about it a lot this week on this channel. Podcast is down in the description below if you want to take it on the road. Thanks for hanging, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon. Later.